All right, guys. Our next guest takes on Islam Makhachev at UFC 267 this weekend in arguably one of the most highly anticipated fights this year. He really is the toast of the town in Las Vegas, even though he's wearing a Texas Longhorns hat, and has quickly become one of the most beloved and respected people in the MMA community, a staple of submission radio programming. He's back for his traditional pre-fight check-in, the one and only, the Hangman, Dan Hooker. Welcome back, man. How's life?
That sounded like a hint of an American accent.
Well,
They introduced me at the media day as the Las Vegas local. So this is my team. I'm actually a college ball guy. I got into my college ball, Texas Longhorns, hook 'em boys.
Well, as Cass mentioned in the intro there, you are a staple of submission radio programming. And I know you've been at that UFC PI. You saw the Chuck Liddell boardroom. You saw the Ronda Rousey boardroom. Now imagine the submission radio offices. I believe it's time to build a Dan Hooker closet. We don't have the money for a boardroom, but a closet, coat room, maybe a shoe rack, something like that, if we ever have an office. What are you thinking about this?
I think we could get that done. I think really the Dan Hooker water cooler. I think that's
yes. Where all the good chats are had.
I might just make a sign. I might just make a sign and just claim a water cooler and just it's the Dan Hooker water cooler.
Well, it's like the George Foreman grill. You might be on an idea for a multi-million-dollar idea here. Dan Hooker water cooler. Yeah.
Funny fact, they actually got offered to the Foreman grill, got offered to Hulk Hogan, but he turned it down. He turned it down. George Foreman took it, made however $30-40 million.
I know.
Fun fact.
Think about how wild Hulkamania would have been running if he was grilling steaks, all over America.
He missed out on a nice chunk of change.
I know. Dude, you're training at the PI, you're in Syndicate, you're front row at the fights last night. Last time we spoke, you were off from wrestling practice. Now that this camp is pretty much in the books, dude, how's it been relative to your expectations? I feel like it's better than it was when you imagined it, right?
Oh, definitely better than the last one. No, without a doubt. Actually being able to get in the gym and get your hands on people and get the work done properly has been. I'm glad there's not 8 weeks of this camp. We were resting every day, pretty hard, pushing it pretty hard at strength and conditioning. I feel good. I felt good throughout those camps. I was pushing, right back to work. The body felt pretty good leading into that, and just. Obviously, everyone knows resting every day takes its toll on your body. But yeah, I got through it. Got through all the hard rounds with no injuries and coming out I feel like I've got the work done. So I'm coming into fight week very confident.
Is it kind of refreshing to get tips and advice from guys like John Wood and Mike Pyle and sort of get to see things from a different lens than you normally would? I suppose there's some benefits because there's a lot of great minds over there at Syndicate. And obviously at City Kickboxing, you guys do incredible work, but also fun to sort of get a different perspective going into this fight.
Oh, 100%. I did the pro class at Syndicate. I did it every day. I did whenever I could to get a training session in with John Wood and Mike Powell and Frank Mears in there. Pretty much every day coaching as well. So having those three legends, just sharing their knowledge with you has been awesome, man. It's been pretty incredible. And having Frankie just running my training, because you can't be your own head coach. I know, full well that doesn't work out very well. So I've had Frankie just talking with Eugene and running over the things that we want to work on, the things we want to focus on, just with him. And I just follow Frankie. If he says 5 rounds, I do 5 rounds. If he says 10 rounds, I do 10 rounds. It's been good, man. It's been real good.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity that you didn't really have, previously. I know you trained up in Colorado for a while at Team Elevation, and obviously City Kickboxing Eugene, amazing, but it's not every day that you get to just go all right, I'll train a different gym and get some more perspective. But I want to ask, did you spar Darren Till? He's over at Syndicate right now.
Oh, he's come in and watched. I think he's doing most of his work at the PI. Like I see him at the PI a lot.
So you're saying he was afraid to spy? That's exactly what you're saying.
That's definitely not. No, I think he's like rehabbing. I don't want to give anything away, but he had like an injury from his last fight. I don't know if that's common knowledge, so I don't want to go in.
The ACL,
yeah. Like, oh, okay, so everyone knows. Yeah, he's like doing like rehab from his knee. I think he's like down there at Syndicate. There were a few boys down there from the UK as well, so he's just in there watching them and just in there getting a feel for the gym, I guess, because it's like hard just like rolling up and jumping into sparring at a new gym, because like some gyms are pretty hostile and you're gonna get your head taken off if you're like a bigger name guy like Darren Till. So I guess he's just coming in and having a look and getting a feel for the gyms.
I mean, there's a lot of great bonuses to being in Vegas. One of them is, of course, the UFC PI. Me and Casper have been there, and man, that honestly, that to drag us out of that kitchen. That food was delicious. It's cheap. And
especially when it's on someone else's tab.
Yeah, it was on someone else's tab. I think we overdid it. We were like trying to stockpile for the rest of the year because of MMA media. But now that you've experienced, what is the actual part that you're looking forward to the most, moving CKB to the US? Is there anything that sort of stands out with your time over there in Las Vegas? And by the way, does it look like Las Vegas is going to be the spot for you where you're actually going to be sort of setting up camp for the next sort of training camps and stuff?
I honestly haven't put like a shred of thought into anything after this weekend. Like once this got, it was a pretty hasty decision to get that done. So I haven't really looked past this fight week. We're gonna go over there, get back, and then it just, we'll see how things play out. But with gyms like still being, I can't even get into New Zealand. Like that's the thing. Like everyone's kind of, it's not like people have messaged me like, like Tony, I'm not. I would go back to New Zealand if I could. Like they won't let me back in. So I'm making the most of being away from my home gym, being away from my home team. But like with the gyms being shut back in New Zealand and not being able to get back into the country, it's I'm making the most of it. You know what I mean? We'll see how things go in New Zealand. But things are pretty good over here. Once Brad gets here and Kai get here, it's some friendly faces, and we've got like a program pretty well established to keep the boys fit in case anything short notice pops up for them or like another big opportunity crosses their path.
And it's kind of the cool thing about being in Las Vegas. You're right there. And if anything does pop up, you're right there in the fight capital of the world. But I also saw in your Instagram stories, you were going for a bit of a jog near Allegiant Stadium over there in Las Vegas. You guys obviously watched the Raiders game there. And Eugene Behrman, he was on the show, and he mentioned to us last time that he was kind of scoping it out a little bit. He's having a little bit of a look around, seeing how things look over there. And I know you said that's a good-looking stadium. Are you already sort of picturing a CKB takeover in the near future with you, Israel, Brad, Kai, and some of the other boys on the card? Big stadium show?
At Allegiant, oh man, that would be. That was like the main thing. I was just sitting there at Allegiant Stadium and just, 75,000 people, and it had a roof on it, and it was air conditioned. Like it's perfect for a fight show. Like it's absolutely perfect. And I was just imagining it. I was imagining that cage inside the middle of that stadium. Imagine it full with fight fans, with UFC fans, Las Vegas. It'll be in a fight week, like international fight week or something. It'll be absolutely incredible. So I've visualize it, man, and it's like that's what you do, man. You visualize it and then work to make it happen.
Yeah, they need to bring back slogans like for events, like when they had UFC whatever 71 undisputed. It needs to be like UFC 2 whatever CKB versus the world. I'm telling you, man, it's Vegas. You got the PI, you got the free food, you got all the physio and everything around the corner. It's got to be Vegas. But you were mentioning how like good your training, your conditioning, and everything is. We saw you tweet it out. Let's make it 5 rounds. What's all this about?
Let's do it. I just feel good, man. I just feel good. I feel like, there was a couple of really hard weeks getting back into it, getting back into the swing of things. And by that, I mean getting the rounds in, with the bodies, getting the sparring in, getting the wrestling in. resting every day, conditioning every second day, and it was a real grind there for a couple of weeks. And then that last week, just come on, man, just felt good. Like felt the fitness was there. Resting for 45 minutes straight and feeling good, feeling sharp, feeling fresh, like feeling like everything was technically there. I feel like a 5-rounder. That's, I just finished one of the last hard sessions of my camp, and I'm feeling like a 5-rounder. So if we can make that happen, then I'm 100% in. Let's make it 5. I feel like people are intrigued by this matchup. As intrigued by this matchup as the co-main and main. So let's do it justice.
It's definitely one of the fights that everybody's tuning in for. What do you think about Islam responding and saying that it would be worse for you?
That's a yes. That sounds good to me. Like that's a yes. That's him calling my bluff, and me going all in. That's me backing my hand and going all in. If that's his response, then let's do it. What's the hold up? Let's make it 5 rounds.
If for whatever reason it's not 5 rounds, or if it is actually presented, and then, because we know you're in, if for whatever reason he doesn't accept it, what does that say? What do you take away from that?
It ain't me. I'm telling you right now, it ain't me. Like let's push Sean Shelby, Dana White. Let's do this fight justice. Let's make this fight 5 rounds. Let's make it 25 minutes. Let's get after it. Let's see who really is the better fighter when we get out here. And I promise you, as the fans, and they know that I ain't no yellow belly. It ain't me. Let's get this thing 5 rounds. I want to push.
This is exactly why I think the UFC started making non-title fights 5 rounds. This is exactly the type of fight that people want to see. How much do you think that would change the fight, though, if it went from 3 rounds to 5 rounds? How much does it change strategy and what the fight kind of looks like in your head?
I don't care. I just feel like I'm the better fighter, and the longer period of time you get to show that, or you get to prove that, then that's the better. That's why these main events are 5 rounds. That's why they're not 3 rounds. That's why championship fights are 5 rounds and not 3 rounds. Because the only thing that separates the better fighter is time. Like that's the only thing that can separate. If you just pick someone off the street and throw them in an octagon and gave the fight 10 seconds, well, who knows? You put him in with the best fighter in the world, you make the fight 5 seconds, then who knows? Like, you're going to have to make it a minute. You're going to have to make it 5 minutes. You're going to have to make it 15 minutes to see who the better fighter is. It's the true testament to skill. It's the true testament to your ability as a martial artist is time. The more amount of time you get to see who the better fighter is.
That's a great point, by the way, because there's so many historic fights in the history books where the fight just completely turns in round 4 and 5 and just plays out so differently. And we've seen fights that go 3 rounds where fans are like, oh man, if only it had 2 more rounds. And I'm wondering, Dan, in your whole sort of career, did you have any of those fights that were 3 rounds that in your head you're like, man, if only this was a 5-rounder, like I wish this was a little bit longer? Did you ever have that feeling about any of your past sort of fights in your career?
Man, I'd really have to think about that. But I feel like you don't want to make guys do the 25 minutes too early on. It's for special fights. That's what it's for. It's for fights where there's like a real question about who. Like, it's like proven guys. You know what I mean? It's like proven guys who can show that they're like a level above everyone else. That's what I feel like 25 minutes is for. You got to really prove that you're a main event fighter. You got to really prove that you're in that top echelon of fighters. You got to show you that you're the complete package. That's how you get to a main event. That's how you get to 5-minute rounds. So I feel like it's not for everyone, and it's definitely a lot harder on your body. But it's just how I feel at the moment. I just feel like I could really push hard for 5 rounds.
I love it because both of you guys, like even Islam responding, and now you saying things like, it's not for everyone, and it ain't me. You're down for 5 rounds. It just makes the stakes feel so much bigger for the fight. I'm sure Uncle Chael will be appreciating all of this, and I know that you've been enjoying the fact that people are so high on Islam. People are saying that he's maybe the next Khabib. He's potentially a future title challenger or title holder. People talking about him like he's already the future GOAT of the division. I know you're enjoying that, but how much will you enjoy, going in there and assuming all goes well, playing spoiler to the, quote unquote hype train?
Yeah, that's like one thing I've never understood about like fighters trash talking their opponents. In that aspect, like if you got like a real like problem with a guy, or you're trying to pick a fight with someone, I can understand like saying some nasty things, like trying to pick a fight with a guy. Like that's a whole different story. But when like fights are booked and you're saying like what Islam was saying to Rafael, I saw some back and forth with Dos Anjos and Islam, and he's saying, oh, he's old, he's washed up, he's like he's not got it anymore. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like it's not why I want to fight someone. I don't want to fight someone because like I think I can beat them easy. That makes me completely not want to fight someone. I want to fight someone because they're dangerous. I want to fight someone because everyone's saying that this guy's better than you. That's why I want to fight someone. I want to fight the best fighters in the world. That's just my mentality when I approach the sport. And also, like, why would you want to just sit there and be like, yeah, oh, this guy's rubbish. This guy can't strike. This guy can't grapple. I'm going to beat him easy. Then you beat him easy. Like, you just downplayed your achievement. It just makes like anyone in the sports achievements can be downplayed, and you see it endlessly. And you see it endlessly on social media, like guys' achievements, like what Khabib achieves and then retired, what GSP achieved and retired. Like people will say, oh, Khabib only had this amount of fights, or GSP got knocked. Like, it's just anyone's achievements can be downplayed. So I really don't feel like, and I feel like when fighters do it to each other, when the fighters like downplay each other's achievements, then it makes it like okay for the fans, like the supporters of that person, to then downplay achievements. It makes it okay. It makes it okay if a fighter says it to a fighter, and that becomes the common theme. It makes it like okay for all the fans are like, oh well, Conor said it to Khabib, I can say it to Khabib. It's like it doesn't. Yeah, it's just the wrong way to go about it.
No, it's absolutely a great point. It's like you talk your opponent down, but then when you beat him, it's like, well, you said he's no good at anything, so who did you really beat? It's the old pro wrestling approach, where it's like, don't make your opponent look like nothing, because then you just don't make yourself any bigger from the win. But I'm curious though, Dan, obviously being around the PI, being at the fights, have you had a chance to speak to Dana White? I mean, he'd be super pumped that you took this fight. Have you guys had a chance to talk about the actual fight happening and what's at stake for you if you do win?
Nah. Like, that's the last thing that he wants to hear. You know what I mean? Like, he's got every man and his dog like coming up to him, and as soon as like a fighter walks up to him, of course, the first thing out of a fighter's mouth is like, I want a title shot. I want. Like, it's just fighters coming up to him and telling him what they want. It's just it goes without saying. Like, I know, like I've been at the fights. I bumped into Sean Shelby like a bunch of times. There's no need to say it. I know what's at stake for this fight. I know that there are title implications for the winner of this fight, or the winner of this fight. It's just nothing but big things after this fight, and that absolutely goes without saying. There's no need in my mind for a guarantee. I believe it's already guaranteed.
Well, I mean, and I think also like it's a feel good story too. Like the way everything that happened before the Nazareth fight, and then you coming in here and then beating a guy that's so highly touted. It just, it's a wild story. And I know that you dropped the other day the "Don't Hunt What You Can't Kill" T-shirt on your site, danhangman.com, which is a nice throwback to your last post-fight speech. But I'm curious though. Like obviously you made a shirt about it. What does the phrase "Don't hunt what you can't kill" sort of mean to you, Dan?
It's don't hunt what you can't kill. I see a lot of fighters, calling like you see it so much. Guys like calling guys out, and then they actually get what they want, and they weren't ready for it. They get in the cage with that person, and they're not ready for it. I see that with guys calling me out. Saying, "Oh yeah, this," and it's like, bud, if they lock me in a cage with you, you would be so finished. I would walk right through you. You know what I mean? Like, don't hunt what you can't kill. Don't pick a fight you can't win. That's the meaning behind it.
I mean, it's a pretty opportune time to be dropping that T-shirt, right? You've got Islam. He was calling out for a long time. Do you feel like that's kind of, I don't know if narrative's really the right word, but do you feel like that kind of describes this fight in a sense, the whole "don't hunt what you can't kill" mentality?
We're gonna find out. That's the beauty of this. We got a handful of days till we get locked in that cage, and we find out. We find out who's been wrong this whole time. I believe that I'm the better fighter. He believes he's the better fighter. That's why we fight. If this sport was called winning, everyone would do it. But it's called fighting. We get to get in there, and we get to test each other. We get to see who's been full of shit this whole time.
Yeah, 100%. UFC 267, who's full of shit. Speaking of shit, free shit that is, our good friends at Canadip CBD recently gave away a free trip to UFC 268, Usman vs. Covington 2. Hopefully that was you. Congratulations to you. If it was, enjoy New York, courtesy of Canadips and Submission Radio. For those curious, Canadips are fantastic. They're great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. All flavor, no tobacco, no nicotine pouches that are spit-free. Comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, American spice, and it is crafted and manufactured in Humboldt County, California, the heart of the cannabis industry. And let's be honest, man, traditional dip is a hassle. It's addictive, it's messy, and it's also over 100 years old. Other alternatives, they're just not good enough for you guys today. They're either still addictive, still messy, or taste terrible. Canadip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing you guys to enjoy great long-lasting taste without the downsides. It is 100% American-grown hemp combined with the water dispersible technology, so it absorbs rapidly. They have developed a way to deliver CBD through the mouth that nobody else has, so you can actually enjoy it. CanadipCBD.com, and it is open 24/7. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. It's life-changing stuff. And you guys can save 20% off by clicking the description below and using the code word submission. That is 20% off. Click the link in the description below and use that code word submission. Change your life forever. And Cass, speaking of changing your life forever, I mean, the big fights that's happening this weekend. Obviously, Dan is on to talk about his huge fight with Islam Makhachev. And there is just so much money to be made this weekend with MyBookie. My God, if you guys are looking to make some money, you guys have to go to MyBookie and make sure to use that code word submission when you sign up. That's use that code word submission when you sign up. All the best bets, all the best odds, all the best prop bets are at MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie and the code word submission.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't help this past weekend hearing Paulo Costa talking about his torn bicep, thinking that could have been one of you guys. That could have been one of your nuts using your old rusty razor. Don't do that. You don't want a torn nut. You want the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 with its skin-safe technology and multiple different guards, so you can adjust at your leisure, at your safety, different textures in your pubes if you like. It's got the travel lock so it doesn't go off in your bag. It's waterproof, up to 90 minutes battery power, 7,000 RPM motor. It's got the LED light so you can do it, I don't know, upside down in some kind of sex dungeon if you own one, whatever you want. The performance package comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker Era Nose Hair Trimmer, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, the Crop Reviver Toner, which you just carry with you. You can have it in your car if you want. And if you go, ooh, I'm not so fresh, you just duck into the toilet, splash it on, bam, respawned like you're playing Call of Duty circa 2010. And 2 free gifts, Performance Boxer Briefs and the Shed Travel Bag. Simply delightful. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. Be like James Bond. There's no time to die from long pubes. And thanks to Manscaped, you don't have to deal with it. Make sure to jump on, use the code word submission, free shipping as well. Code word submission, change your life forever with Manscaped. Do it today. But Dan, just on that don't hunt what you can't kill mentality, I know you were at the Costa Vittori fight. What was your reaction to the whole Costa last-minute weight class change situation, especially being at the fights live and watching it go down? And I know you love to use the hashtag Team No Excuses. Can you take us into why Team No Excuses is such an important mentality for you and the guys at City Kickboxing, especially with these situations like with Costa and Vittori happening more and more frequently in the sport these days?
Yeah, like that's obviously it's not like what Costa did, and like he didn't like earn the right to do that. It was like a funny situation because it was only a couple of weeks ago that we let like Nick Diaz roll up and do it, but Paulo Costa hadn't done for the sport what Nick Diaz had done, but obviously same result. He got the weight class changed entirely. So I don't know. It's kind of funny, like a bit of a power play, but it's not for me. It's not. It's not like the Anzac culture of the sport. That's not like that would never happen. Like something like that in New Zealand or Australia. I feel like if you just showed up to a like a local kickboxing show with your fighter 10 kilos overweight and we're like, what are you going to do about it? I feel like you'd get beaten up. You get beaten up in the car park. I feel like there's it's a sign of respect. Like that's all it is. It's a matter of respect. Like I show up on weight as a respect for my opponent, as a respect for my gym, as a respect for representing who I represent. It's a sign of respect to the fans. It's a sign of respect to the promotion. It's absolutely everything. So it absolutely is what it is. Him coming out like that is just a massive F you to the fans, F you to the UFC, F you to his opponent. So it is what it is.
It's funny that you say that because Tim Kennedy, another former UFC middleweight, said pretty much verbatim what you said, that last part about, missing weight and stuff. But I love it because kind of the narrative for this fight is like, Dan Hooker took this fight on short notice, right? And I guess it would be easy for anybody to just kind of have this built-in excuse, but you're going the other way. You're just like Team No Excuses. You're eliminating, any kind of excuses, anything. And I love it. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate about you as well. As if they didn't already appreciate you for like even the Nasrat fight and stuff. But just quickly, let's recap. You forced the New Zealand embassy to grant you a US visa. You did that. You flew to the other side of the world. You made weight in 12 hours. You fought. You won. You took a fight days later despite not having your whole team, your coaches, your gym at your disposal, against a guy who many people are touting as, the future of the division. And now you're asking for 5 rounds. You want more rounds. It's like you're making it arguably harder. What do you think when people are saying, like, dude, this guy is the real BMF champion of the UFC? You see that a lot now.
I don't know. I'm just doing me. I'm not trying to put on a show. I'm not trying to put on it. People would be able to see right through it. Islam could come out and call the bluff and say, oh, look, I approached the UFC and he came back with 5 rounds and he turned it down. They know that that's not going to happen. They know that that's not me. It's just who I am. It's just the way that I approach the sport. It's the way that I've always approached the sport. It's not like difficult at all. We'll see what happens after this as well. Go out there, get the job done. There are 2 massive lightweight fights before the end of the year. knock on wood, something, you don't want something to go wrong, but I'll put my hand up. That's all me. That's all me. I'll get back in there as long as I can be medically cleared by a state commission to fight. I will fight.
I love it, man. We'll let you go in a second, Dan, but I wanted to ask you this, because obviously a big part of the narrative here is just, even you taking this fight and sort of taking it to Islam with even the 5-round demand and everything. Let me ask you this, because obviously we've spoken many times and there's kind of a pattern, the way you talk about your past fights, the way you're happy to take risks, right? In a time where the sport sometimes feels more political than ever in terms of rankings and opponents and matchmaking, you go the opposite. You're kind of going against the grain. Why do you think you're so, I guess, unafraid to fail? You obviously put pressure on yourself to win and to perform, but there's something about you where you kind of seem to really, relish the lessons that come with any outcome. When you talk about the Chandler and Poirier fights, it's clear that you kind of have zero resentment about them. You speak with almost a sense of freedom that you don't always hear from fighters when they address former losses. Well, why do you think that is with you?
Because each one of those fights, I can compare the fighter that I was. That's the beauty of this whole sport being on camera. This is the beauty of there being a camera at every single one of my fights I've ever had, or especially my UFC career is there on Fight Pass. You can go back and watch. You can go back and watch, my first handful of fights in the UFC, and then compare that fighter to this fighter now. I wouldn't be the fighter that I am today without every single one of those lessons. You take one of those losses out, and all that's going to happen is it's going to happen in the future. I would rather it had happened in my past than happen in my future. All of this, my career, all of these lessons are preparing me for the future. That's how I feel. It's, the amount of times I've seen guys, have storied careers and do this and do that and get to their title fight. And that's my biggest fear is getting to that title fight and not having all of those lessons and not being the fighter that I truly feel like I am now, because I feel so well developed from all of these lessons throughout my career, which I've seen a lot of guys, they haven't been through, or they haven't suffered, or they haven't been able to persevere through and continue growing and building their mentality. It's so that when I get to that title fight, that I've left absolutely no stone unturned, and I'll be more than ready for that challenge, more than ready to come out and shine in that moment, and not let that ultimate goal pass me by or slip through my fingers.
I mean, obviously you're trying to, do you the way that you do it, but at the same time, you're also sort of setting an example for a lot of young fighters in the division, a lot of guys coming up, a lot of people watching you who take inspiration in what you do, and you explaining your mentality. I know we've seen a lot of people talk about how you inspire them and you sort of get them going. Is that something that you, were you setting out to sort of do that? I know you're the team captain over there at CKB, but you're in this position now with all these fighters are wow, Dan Hooker, he's really kind of an example for me as I'm moving up the division. I'm just wondering, how does that even make you feel, kind of being in that position now?
I feel like it's got nothing to do with me. I feel like it's just a testament and a credit to the culture that I came up in, because I'm purely just a result of my surroundings. I'm purely just a result of the culture I was surrounded with by all of my coaches throughout my career, instilling these values in me. That's all it is. There's, it's not, they just roll up and insist on making weight for no reason. It's because I've had coaches. I've had, Carl Weber and Eugene Behrman and Tristram and Andre and Doug Viney and John Olsen and all of these guys instill this in me. There have been times in my career when I've said, I want to, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. And you get a smack around the ears and they tell you, you're doing this because you get, they've instilled it in me. That's all it is. So it's just a result of being surrounded by a lot of strong leaders, throughout my career, and taking those lessons and learning those lessons. That's all it is.
I love it, man. I love it. And then just quickly, they're bringing the family in. The UFC's flying in your family after the fight. What's the plan? Is it just kind of, all right, we're all going to live? Because originally it was going to be you're just going to live in Vegas indefinitely or in America indefinitely. But now I guess what you'll be with the family indefinitely until you win the lottery, quote unquote.
Yeah. We're still playing the lottery, and there's still absolutely no luck. But yeah, that's the part of this whole plan that I have. I haven't thought past is going over there, getting the job done, jump in on the next plane out of town, coming back here, and once I land back here, my family will be here within a day or two, and then it's and then once they're here, wherever my girls are, I feel at home. You know what I mean? Like right now it's there's an uneasiness where I don't feel like everything's there, and I don't feel like at home. It feels like a very foreign place to me, which is good during a fight camp, which is good during a fight week to have that feeling of like you're away and you're off on a raid, and you're trying to get you're gonna raid some villages and then bring some prizes back to your hometown. That's the way that I feel. But once the girls get here, it's time to it's time to really soak it in and time to relax.
I can only imagine what that uneasiness feels like. I imagine it's like being overseas and thinking you left the oven on, but like times 1,000 and like it's not going away.
Bang on the money. Yeah. Bang on the money.
We were going to end the interview by asking you what you want people to take away just from your mentality, because like I said, I feel like it's kind of the feel-good story of the year. But I also feel like you kind of answered that in like the last few questions. So we'll divert to plan B, which is now that it's, I guess, the last time we speak before the big fight, how do you see it ending? How do you see yourself getting your hand raised against Islam Makhachev? I know you disagreed with most of what Javier Mendez said as far as your chances and like your plan to go in there. How do you see it ending, man?
Yeah, I feel like I know what they're doing. I know that as soon as you come out like that, as soon as it's they're trying to put that thought into my mind where I'm just like, I've got to knock him out. But then as soon as you're only trying to knock someone out or look for that big finish, you get heavy and you get slow and you're waiting and you're very to perform that knockout shot. You're very planted and heavy on your feet, and it's very easy for someone to grab a hold of you when you're in that state. So that's definitely not what I'm thinking. All of the times I've knocked someone out, it's I've not been trying to knock them out. I've just been fighting my fight and feeling sharp and doing the things that I knew to do and making good decisions, and the knockouts just happen. They just come. So that's what I'm preparing for. I'm preparing for going out there and being in a state where I perform my best, making great decisions, and getting the best of this guy and proving that I'm the better fighter. If a knockout comes, if a submission comes, then it comes. But I truly feel like I'm going to win this fight by proving I'm the better fighter.
And all your fans in Australia and New Zealand are preparing to have an all-nighter at the pub as you take on Islam Makhachev early in the morning, Sunday morning, over here in Australia. New Zealand, of course, follow the man at Dan the Hangman on Twitter, Dan Hangman on Instagram, and get some Don't Hunt What You Can't Kill merch at danhangman.com.
Sold out.
Sold out already.
I believe you can. Pre-order another one, but yeah, they from what I've been told, they got sold out in was it a day or 2 days?
Wow.
There's going to be some counterfeit Don't Hunt What You Can't Kill with 3L being sold at Alibaba. Now that they find out the popularity of it.
Don't buy them off Alibaba.
So, guys, make sure to check it out. We can't wait. Dan, thank you so much for joining us yet again. We're building that closet or shoe rack or water cooler. We're trying to get it all together.
I like the water cooler. Stay hydrated.
Nice.